reconvene to the organizational meeting of the Board of Education at 7 p.m. with Blair, Cruz, Gagne, Schaefer, and not present. Before we begin, please silence all electronic devices and note that these proceedings are being recorded. Pat?
The board met in closed session from 5:15 to 6:49 p.m. regarding conference with legal counsel, existing and anticipated litigation, conference with real property negotiators, student readmissions, public employee discipline dismissal release, and conference with labor negotiators, ACT and CSCA. In closed session, the board gave counsel direction regarding the appeal of CVUSD's denial of the SACSA CV charter petition that is now pending before the San Bernardino County Board of Education. No further action was taken that requires public disclosure.
Thank you. Leading the Pledge of Allegiance tonight is Mr. Carl Hampton.
Would you please stand? Put your right hand over your heart. Ready? Begin.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. We're now at oaths of office for newly elected board members. Mrs. Christina Gagne and Mr. Joel Schaefer. Judge Mark Peterson, Riverside County Superior Court Judge, is here to administer oath to office to Mrs. Gagne and Chief Al Jackson from the San Bernardino County Community College District, Police Department, and Commissioner on the Chino Hills Parks and Recreation Commission will administer the oath to Mr. Schaefer. Please approach the podium as you were called.
Constitution of the United States.
The Constitution of the United States.
And the Constitution of the State of California.
And the Constitution of the State of California.
Against all enemies.
Against all enemies.
Foreign and domestic.
Foreign and domestic.
That I will bear true faith and allegiance.
That I will bear true faith and allegiance.
To the Constitution of the United States.
To the Constitution of the United States.
And the Constitution of the State of California.
And the Constitution of the State of California.
That I take this obligation freely.
That I take this obligation freely.
Without any mental reservation or purpose of evasion.
Without any mental reservation or purpose of evasion.
And that I will.
And that I will.
Well and faithfully.
Well and faithfully.
Discharge the duties.
Discharge the duties.
Upon which I'm about to enter.
Upon which I'm about to enter.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
Raise your right hand. I, Joe Schaefer, do solemnly swear.
I, Joe Schaefer, do solemnly swear
That I will support and defend the Constitution of the United States.
that I will support and defend the Constitution of the United States
And the Constitution of the State of California.
and the Constitution of the State of California
Against all enemies, foreign and domestic.
against all enemies, foreign and domestic.
And that I will bear truth and faith and allegiance.
That I will bear true faith and allegiance
to the Constitution of the United States
to the Constitution of the United States
and the Constitution of the State of California,
and the Constitution of the State of California,
that I take this obligation freely
that I take this obligation freely
without any mental reservation or purpose of evasion,
without any mental reservation or purpose of evasion,
and that I will well and faithfully
and that I will well and faithfully
discharge the duties upon which I'm about to enter.
discharge the duties upon which I'm about to enter.
Congratulations.
For our presentation, I'd like to invite Mr. Carl Hampton, our Boys Republic High School principal.
Good evening, Board, Dr. Enfield, Cabinet, ladies and gentlemen. I'd like to bring up my staff with me that came tonight. There are a few of them that come, and they do a lot of work in the background. If you just come up and join behind, I sure appreciate that. And we brought in our president, our mayor, I'm sorry, of the school, and I'd like him to come up here because he'll be doing the wreath presentation himself. You all have wreaths in the back room, and they're in Pat's office, and Pat will be giving them out afterwards. And we have a wreath that we'll be presenting here. We have three main events at Boys Republic in the year. We have our wreath production. We have our bakery. I call that an event, but our bakery, and we do our car show. Just for one thing, car show is June 1st. This year, you should put it on your calendar. Last year, we had approximately 15,000 people come through, 550 cars, and the dinner the night before the car show, we had 800 people at. It's quite an event, and I would recommend if you could come to any of it that you do. We do our bakery, and the other day I was dropping off the wreaths, and Pat Kaler said, "You are going to bring baked goods, aren't you?" You know you have new board members and they need baked goods. So I don't want to tell her I was already planning to do it, but yes, you know, you got to take care of business right. So we have, Kenny, would you two give them one of those, each one of the people that come around while I talk? Come over here. Take them out. And pass them out to everybody up there. I think we gave enough. I guess I should help you. Thank you very much. Thank you. Make sure this guy gets one.
They're not blowing straight.
One right over here. No habla. Okay. Okay. I was supposed to have a young man that was going to present this tonight. His name is David Jaquez. David graduated from Boys Republic in the spring of 2014. He got involved in the bakery and he found a career for himself. He went away to try to help out family members. He ended up needing to move back, and he wanted to be a part of Boys Republic. He's now a full-time baker on our staff. He's turned his life around. You could ask what Boys Republic does for people. It helps people turn their lives around. And David is one of them. He's married, and the reason he has to stay home tonight is because he just had a new baby, and so he's home with it, taking care of his wife and his new child. So he couldn't be here this evening. But we do have our mayor today, and come on up here. I'll let you introduce yourself.
Hello, my name is Michael Lopez from Bossier Public High School.
You have your speech on you?
Yes, I did.
All right. Thank you.
Good evening, board members, cabinet, and ladies and gentlemen. My name is Michael Lopez, and I am the mayor of Bossier Public. We have been making Della Robbia wreaths since 1923. We have made over 3 million wreaths in our pod barn. Some of our former chairmen have been Jay Leno, Vince Scully, Sugar Ray Leonard, Layla Ali, Kirk Douglas, Barbara Bush, Frank Sinatra, Bob Hope, John Wayne, Nancy Reagan, John Glenn, and last but not least, Steve McQueen. It is my pleasure to present the board members and Dr. Anfield with a wreath, as well as a wreath for the wonderful boardroom. Thank you.
I need your help over here. We just produced about 45,000 of these over the last 3 weeks. Now, I am anticipating that maybe some of you would like to ask our young man some questions, so I've kind of told him they might ask you some questions.
Any questions for me special?
Okay, Mr. Cruz?
You know, Mayor Lopez, I attended today. I visited the assembly line, and it's so intricate, the assembly line. And they told me that they used 9 pine cones from all over the state and one especially at a country where it cost like a truckload of $15,000. And I got to admit, Mayor, those wreaths are amazing. You bring joy and happiness to people. And those things, I still have mine up there. Every year, it's up there. And tonight, I will replace it. So, thank you, Mayor. Great
Please,
job.
please keep that wreath because I might have touched it and put some little luck in it.
Okay, I have a question, Mayor Lopez.
Yes, sir.
So what is your future plan?
My future plan is to, catch up as much credits in Boys Public High. I'm still young, I'm still 15. But I plan to, catch up in credits. That way, when I get released to outside, I live in Palmdale. So when I go to my high school up there, I plan on being, caught up or at least ahead. So yeah, thank you.
Thank you. And Mrs. Blair, then Mr. Schaefer.
I usually get teary-eyed.
Yeah.
You all are just so special up there, every one of you. But can you share with those that may not be aware of the different programs that you have? Because typical high schools don't have all the career learning programs that you have up there.
Yeah, we actually have, it's kind of like an RP program where you go and you work down, obviously making wreaths. We have 2 types of wreaths. We have a big one and then a small one. We do that every day for about like 4 weeks, and we try to manage about maybe 1,500 a day. So we're in there from 6 a.m. to 7:30 a.m. maybe about 6 p.m. Nonstop working. And nobody wants to be down there, but at the end, when you go home, you lay in bed, you think it's worth it, and it is. You look in your bank account, Yeah, and I love Boise Public High, because I feel like the learning system's, perfect. I love Mr. Hampton.
Yes.
I don't know if he likes me or not, but I like him.
But you have other programs aside from the wreath, so can
Yeah.
you share those, the masonry, all
Yeah,
that
we
other
have
stuff?
we have a masonry program, we have a wood shop program, we have auto and mechanic program, we have welding mechanic. Welding program, and they're all fun classes. They're worth it. You learn something at the end of the day. You get more knowledge, and the teachers make it fun for you. There is days where you have to go there, you have to write. You're not looking for what you want, but there's fun programs at Boise Public High. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank
Mr.
you for
Schaefer.
being here.
You're welcome, sir.
For those that aren't familiar with the program, can you explain to them why you're the mayor and what it takes to be the mayor?
Yes, sir. I'm the mayor at Boise Public High. It's kind of a probation placement. What I had to do to be mayor, this is actually, I'm about to be on 2 years at Boise Public. This is my second program. I came here in 2016, left 2017, came back 2018. So, everybody kind of knows me, They recognize me by my hair and stuff, And, Carl Hampton always has to say something every day to me about my hair, And I just, what it takes is a lot of leadership and a good attitude towards school staff and towards, staff in the cottage. And you just have to, it gives you the responsibility. So when you leave, you know what it feels like to be, to get up at 6 a.m., go to work, provide for your family, put food put food and water on the table, and just do it again. But I mean, do I want to? Of course not. But at the end, it's all worth it, So that's what it takes to be a mayor of Boise Public.
Thank you.
And plus my cuteness, Thank you.
Thank you.
I'm sorry, I need to follow this up.
No, you can't follow it.
I know. Yeah, Art Linkletter said something about putting kids on stage and see what happens. That's kind of what it is. Michael is being a little bit modest. To become mayor, you have to take care of your business there. That means you have to follow the rules. You have to go to class. That means you have to take care of business and not getting zeros or U's for the week. It means you need to behave. And that means you need to be a leader in your cottage. And he's a young leader. He's only 15, so he's not an older student there. He's one of the younger students, so he stepped up. This is the first time I've ever heard him use my first name, and we'll be talking about that tomorrow. We have an amazing group of people up there that work with our kids. It's not easy. It's something that can wear you down over time. But they're here tonight, and I wanted to recognize Kristen Woods. She's a teacher there. Jennifer Sturgis is our computer aide and GED teacher. Veronica Munoz, she kind of left us. She's now over at Ayala. Evelyn, everybody in the county knows Evelyn. Evelyn, anytime there's anything on sale, Evelyn is my secretary and helps promote that. And Kenny Cervantes, he's a Chino High graduate. He works for Boise Public. He doesn't work for the school district, but he offered to bring our mayor down here today, and appreciate that. He graduated, like I said, from Chino High School. So we love what we do, and there's enough successes to keep you going and enough failures to keep you humble. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Hampton and staff members. You guys really have gone extra miles, taking these kids as your own, and I know you are always with them, not only physically, but spiritually, even the weekends. I understand that, so thank you, and I know these kids will appreciate all of you when they grow up and be a fine young man. Thank you. And next, the Measure G Citizens Oversight Committee will have an annual report. Mr. Mark Hargrove.
Good evening, Board, Superintendent, audience. So first thing I want to say is congratulations to Ms. Gagne and Mr. Schaefer. We expect big things from both of you, big shoes to fill. So on behalf of the Measure G Citizens Oversight Committee, I'm here to present the annual report for 2017-2018. Our chairperson, Kevin Cisneros, couldn't be here tonight. He apologizes for that. He had a conflict. First, I'll say there's 13 members of us on the committee. I don't know if anyone's in the audience, but maybe if they could stand, I'd appreciate that. So, Don and Art. So everyone knows a couple years ago we passed a Measure G bond, $750 million. With that comes the Measure G Citizens Bond Oversight Committee. They refer to it as CBOC. I can't remember all these acronyms. I lived a lifetime of 30 years with acronyms. So anyways, this Oversight Committee is under Proposition 39. It's formed of public annually. The reason we're reporting this is a written report concerning the expenditures of those bond proceeds. And like I said, we have 2017-2018. The committee is comprised of 13 members at this point. Kevin Cisneros is the chairperson. I'm the vice chair, and then we have a secretary, Bonnie Tran. We had, during that time, 3 members, Bob Basil, Brett Benson, and Connie Har were all stepped down, but they've been filled. Those positions have been filled, so we're at full capacity, I believe, right, Greg? So we met during the 2018 school year. We met on September 13th, 2017, January 10th, 2018, and May 9th, 2018. Performance audits were performed by a California Certified Public Accountant and a partner of, I won't even try to pronounce his name, Vergrit Train Day and Company, LLP. Close enough, I guess. And those financial audits were provided to the district. Again, that's all terms that are under Proposition 39 and terms of the bond measures approved by the district voters. Stura distributed to the committee and reviewed the expenditure reports. Hopefully you have all those before you. This reflects the figures for the applicable quarter. In addition to the first issuance of the bond in the amounts of $208 million, $2,574,134.22 were earned in interest, and $15,620,311.20 have been spent, leaving a cash balance of $194,926,823.02. Important to remember those 2 cents. As of June 30th, 2018. Our committee, we did not go to visit any of the school sites this last fiscal year. However, with today's technology, we've been given a lot of presentations in terms of pictures and slides and those kind of things. Construction updates. Mr. Tura, Silvera, and Costa have provided presentations and construction updates at every meeting, provided information on the status and progress of each project site. I'll just note some of the projects that we've discussed during the meeting, where there, of course, obviously the reconstruction of Chino High School, which was the biggest project certainly of all. The modernization of Cattle, Lytle, Oak Ridge Elementary School, which is still in progress. The science building additions at Ayala High School, which is still in progress. The science building additions at Briggs K through 8 still in progress. The Raptor Visitor Management System, which has now been complete. The keyless access control system at Chaparral, Rhodes, and Dickey, which are now complete. The security camera systems at Liberty Elementary School and Woodcrest Junior High School are also now complete. We respectfully submit this report on behalf of the Measure G Citizens Bond Oversight Committee. I can answer any questions, but I'll probably refer them to Greg. But if you have any questions.
Thank you. Any questions from the board? Seeing none? Thank you so much.
Yeah, I would just like to say, I guess in closing, just real quick, we have a great group of individuals that are there, and the staff at this district level, the ones that arrive, I can tell you they have answers every time we have a question. So I couldn't imagine a better group of individuals being on the committee that's there now, and a better group of staff. So I really appreciate being on that committee. They have provided us answers at every question that we've had. I don't know, I wasn't on the Measure M, but if it went anything like this one, then no wonder that was such a success. So thank you again so much. Thank you.
Excellent. Thank you. Mrs. Blair.
Mr. Hargrove, I didn't have a question, but you congratulated our board members, but we owe you a congratulations as well. You are now City of Chino council member.
Well,
Right?
I'll be sworn in on Tuesday the 18th.
That's
Correct.
still, yeah, okay.
So yeah.
Congratulations.
Hopefully, I'll see more of you. You know, I'll be the one signed as liaison, and I'll make sure I make these meetings. So, thanks.
Great. Thank you. Okay, and for the final presentation, Dr. Grace Park.
President Na, members of the board, Superintendent Enfield, Cabinet, and Community. We have our second update to the board on our Local Control Accountability Plan, also known as the LCAP. Chino Valley has 3 LCAP goals. Goal 1 is for all students to be provided a high-quality teaching and learning environment. Goal 2 is for students, parents, families, and staff to be connected and engaged to their school to ensure student success. And goal 3 is for all students to be prepared for college and career beyond graduation. Chino Valley's 3 LCAP goals is aligned to the required 8 state priorities. California's accountability system for school districts measures our performance against these 8 state priorities and is publicly shared on the California School Dashboard. Built in as part of California's accountability system are also levels of differentiated assistance. Level 1 support is provided to all schools and districts regardless of performance. Level 2 is in the form of differentiated assistance and is provided to school districts who have student groups who may not be making sufficient progress. Level 3 support through intensive interventions is available when student groups are persistently not making sufficient growth. School districts will qualify for differentiated assistance if any student group meets 2 of the qualifications in the state priorities. Chino Valley has qualified to receive Level 2 differentiated assistance from our county for our students with disabilities meeting the criteria in the highlighted areas. In the area of State Priority 4 on the academic indicator for English Language Arts and Math, State Priority 8 on the college and career indicator. Our report this evening to the board will be on our progress for the academic indicator, and come January, you can expect a thorough report on the College and Career Indicator. The academic indicator is one of the metrics used to measure our progress for State Priority 4, which is student achievement. And it looks at our students' progress on the Smarter Balanced Summative Assessment in English Language Arts and Math. I'd like to share some key changes that have happened on the academic indicator. In the 2016-17 school year, the academic indicator was calculated for grades 3 through 8 in the areas of English Language Arts and Math. Just last year, in the 2017-18 school year, school districts operated under the assumption that the same formula would be applied using SBAC scores for grades 3 to 8 in English Language Arts and Math. However, at the end of last school year, the State Board of Education took action and made a ruling to include grade 11 test scores in grade 11 test scores for ELA and Math, not only from our comprehensive high schools, but also included achievement data from our alternative programs. Previously, achievement data from our alternative programs were reported out to the public, but using a separate measure. A final change that came into play with the academic indicator was the inclusion of a 95 participation rate. It's now factored into the academic indicator. If any student group, school, or district does not meet the 95% participation rate, a deduction is made from the performance level. Our current dashboard that has been released with the results reflects this new change. As many of you are aware, with the inception of the Local Control and Accountability Plan, there have been changes to the LCAP along with its associated accountability measures every year. And I want to share with you, as the state is continuously evaluating its changes, there's a very good chance that we'll be sharing those changes with you and the impact on our accountability and on our data. A color for performance on the academic indicator is determined by comparing the status, which are the results of the test scores from 17-18, to the change, which is the difference of test scores between the 17-18 and 16-17 school year. Achievement data is displayed on the 5x5 placement chart, and it's also displayed on what we call color gauges. The color gauges have replaced the pie graphs that you saw last year. And in both charts, red is the lowest performance level, green is the goal, and blue is the highest performance level. On the Smarter Balanced Assessment, a student can receive 4 possible performance levels, from level 1, standard not met, through level 4, standard exceeded, and level 3, standard met, being the goal for all students. Each student's score is compared to level 3, which is standard met, which we will call the distance from level 3. After calculating the distance from 3 for every student, the results are averaged, which yield a school or district level score. Here is our achievement data for ELA on the 5x5 placement chart. And again, just to remind you, the performance color is determined by comparing the status, which are the test results from 17-18, to the change, which is the difference between the test results from 17-18 and 16-17. And I want to share with you that our results here don't reflect the same group of students. Each year you will have a new third grade group that's calculated in, and a new 11th grade group, which is also calculated in. CVUSD went from yellow to the green performance level. We have 4 student groups in green and blue. Our foster youth are in the yellow performance category, making significant increase of 33.4 points from the year prior. We have 5 student groups in orange, and we have our students with disability in red. District performance is also reflected on colored gauges. On the left, you have Chino Valley on green, surpassing the county, which is in red, and state in orange on the academic indicator for English language arts. Here is our math achievement results on the 5x5 placement chart. Chino Valley is in the category of yellow. While we still made increases from the year prior, we maintained the yellow performance status. We have 4 student groups in green and blue, 2 in yellow. We have 4 groups in orange, and we have our students with disability in red. Here's our comparative performance for math reflected on the colored gauges. On your left, you have Chino Valley in yellow, yet surpassing the county, that's in red, and the state in orange. When the new accountability system was adopted, there was much excitement from the educational testing world and also with school districts because it was grounded on improvement. With scaled scores that are vertically calibrated, one could look at the scales and determine if schools, students, and districts were making improvement. However, since the inception of those scaled scores, you know that there's been a lot of changes. It's grown into 5x5 placements charts, pie graphs, and now color gauges that don't accurately reflect improvement because we're not comparing the same group of students. Here is CVUSD's performance for ELA, looking specifically at the scaled scores, which is the foundation for the calculation of the academic indicator. The numbers in black reflect baselines, and anything in green reflects increases. So when looking at our current 5th graders on your first row, the first time they took the SBAC assessment was in the 3rd grade, 2017, and they scored a baseline of 2,433.8 points. When they assessed in 2018 as 4th graders, the green reflects an increase. Taking a look at another grade level, our current 8th graders, the first time they took the test was in the 4th grade, and you can see in black, 2,467.7 points serves as the baseline. The green scaled scores in 16, 17, and 18 all reflect increases. Similarly, you'll see that our students have made improvement over time. Our scale scores reflect how hard our students, staff, and our schools are working. I'd like to invite up Luke Hackney, our Director of Elementary Curriculum and Instruction, and Dr. Julian Rodriguez, our Director of Secondary Curriculum and Instruction, to share how systematically we're applying our efforts to ensure that our students are learning at higher levels.
Good evening. From the elementary perspective, we've been looking at what are we going to do to strategically make sure we're meeting the academic needs of every student in our district. And a few of the things that we've started to work on, Dr. Park talked a little bit about differentiated assistance. So we will be working closely with the San Bernardino County Office of Education in the near future to talk about what type of support we are going to provide with their resources and guidance as well for our students with disabilities. Also in our school district, we have an elementary special education instructional coach. Their responsibilities are to work with all of our special education teachers at the elementary level to support them in effective standards-based instruction strategies and content, ensuring that all of our students have access to the Common Core state standards. Again, our district has taken a concerted effort on making sure that all of our students, that every single student's academic needs are met. And one of the ways that we've done that this year is really focused on targeted support for every student. So making sure that we are providing students with the amount or level of support that they need to be successful. And we've done that through putting an emphasis on what we call differentiated instruction to differ the instructional strategies that are utilized to make sure we're meeting the needs of every student. We've provided resources, and we've also provided education on how to effectively use the resources to make sure that we meet the needs of all of our students. We've continued with our data chats as well this year. We have data chats with each of our elementary schools 2 times a year. And what that is an opportunity for is for the curriculum, instruction, innovation, and support team to sit down and meet with each of the school sites' leadership, hear the progress of what's occurring at the sites, and for them to share what their next steps may be and how we can support. One of the big areas that we hear that they report on is how our students are doing who need more intensive interventions, who might have very significant academic needs. So we have intervention teachers at all of our elementary schools as well who are supporting our students with targeted instruction, utilizing research-based instructional programs and strategies to make sure we're closing that achievement gap for some of our students with their highest academic needs. It's also a time for our division to see what kind of differentiated support we can offer our school sites to make sure that when they know what their next steps are, we're there to support them and make sure that they're successful in meeting every student's needs as well. Another effort that we've undertaken this year are the professional learning communities. All of our teachers have been able to participate in a full-day training on professional learning communities at work, and the site leadership teams at each of the school sites have had extensive training in professional learning communities at works over multi-day trainings. And the purpose of the professional learning communities is truly to make sure that all of our educators understand clearly what our students need to know, and for our educators to come up with a plan of how we're going to make sure that our students know those things. So it's checking along the way. When we get to the end, if we say, oh, we need to go back and refine something, or we need to take a step back, it's an opportunity for us to refine what we're doing. It's truly looking at a continuous cycle of improvement as educators, making sure that we're continuously refining our craft to make sure that we're meeting the needs of each of our students. Part of the professional learning community process is identifying what we call essential standards. So at the elementary level, we've had all of our teachers across our district look at their English language arts standards for their grade level and their mathematics standards for their grade level. And as collaborative teams at their school sites, they have identified what they feel are the most essential things for students to be ready for the next grade level, for other disciplinary areas, and or for life. So they've taken a critical look at those elements as part of the what we call PLC for Professional Learning Community cycle. Utilizing our PLC process and all of the systems we have in place, then sites are able to clearly define what the needs are for their staff at their sites. Sites will then determine what they want to, what professional learning they want their teachers to partake in for the year that are going to benefit their students to continue to support their students' academic needs. So the site-based development, professional development, comes from the systems that we have in place, making sure that every student is getting what they need. I'm going to have Dr. Rodriguez follow me to share a little bit about secondary.
Good evening. So because our departments work closely together to create a continuum of services K-12, we really do operate that way, you're going to see a lot of our bullet points are the same. So I want to draw your attention to the bold bullet points, which talk a little bit about those services that, or those steps we're taking specifically in secondary education. So we also have an instructional coach that's centralized and specializes in special education to provide services for all of our secondary sites. In addition to that, we're really excited about this implementation year of our new ELA program in junior high for grades 7 and 8. And during that evaluation period of those materials, as well as in the pilot and in the adoption phase, what we did is we made sure that there were numerous access points in those instructional materials for students with disabilities, all of our student groups, including English language development or English learners, that technology support was there, ensuring that those instructional materials were fully supporting students, as well as all of the great teaching that's going on in those classrooms. This year, we're piloting our ELA materials for grades 9 through 12 and a number of different subjects for advanced placement. So again, we're tapping into those resources that we have locally within our district, as well as with publishers, to make sure that those instructional materials, that they're accessible to all of our student groups. In the next bullet point, you'll see that one of the innovative ways that we're able to address the needs of all students is in the collaboration classroom. So we've increased collaboration classrooms as well as sections at our junior high and our high schools, and we continue to do that as a way to serve all kids in that classroom, in those classrooms. And then we also have ELA and math intervention. In this past summer, 2018, we really nailed down a data-driven format for determining ELA and math intervention, how we put kids in those seats and how we monitor their progress throughout the year to make sure that we understand where they started and where they're ending, and that they're meeting their goals for those content areas. And then Mr. Hackney spoke a lot about PLCs and about developing some essential standards. So we're doing that at the secondary level also. We're specifically targeting math in those areas. To make sure that no matter what seat you're in, no matter what school you're in, no matter which classroom you're in, that you are getting a guaranteed and viable curriculum. And we do that via determining the essential standards, as well as all of the ways to assess whether or not students are getting what they need. So with that, that's the end of that presentation.
That concludes our presentation to the Board of Education on the academic indicator. Do you have any questions for our team?
Yeah, Mrs. Blair,
I have a couple of questions.
then Mr. Cruz.
Some of our groups took a decline, and are we assessing the programs or how we're going to reach out to those students?
Yes, some of our student groups did experience a decline, and we have embraced those declines wholeheartedly, and we are evaluating and assessing to see what our next steps are. Additionally, this may sound like an excuse, but please, I hope you don't take that as an excuse. With those changes, remember, with the academic indicator, we went in and this was supposed to be a measure for grades 3 to 8 only. 11th grade had a different measure of assessing their achievement level, which we will go into in January. But what the state did was if I can give an analogy, a poor analogy of a game, we knew the rules of the game, we went into the game, we played hard, then the state changed the rules of the game and evaluated us against those new rules. So yes, we experienced some declines, but as we showed you in the scaled scores, our students are improving, and we will continue to take a look at every single student, not only our larger student groups, but with an emphasis on each student so that we can ensure that they're improving at higher levels.
Right, and I'm excited about the gains. I mean, it's amazing what you all have accomplished. So, you know, that is really great work. I'm just concerned about the group that took the decline because they declined in both math and ELA. And so I just want to make sure that, you know, even though there were changes to the game plan, that even though other groups had successes, even with the changes, but this one group declined in both areas, and that's concerning. So I just want to make sure that we're working towards targeting them and figuring what the game plan is going to be for them. And then my only other question is, what is a collaboration classroom?
It's an opportunity for both a general ed teacher and a special ed teacher to work together to support all the students in that classroom. So typically, a lot of planning goes into the master schedule in that part. We look at students whose, I was talking to Director of Special Education today, and she said one of the best ways to look at this is the percentage of students who are spending the majority of their day in a general ed setting outside of, in the least restrictive environment. And so currently we have 56% of our kids spending over 80% of their day in a general ed, outside of a special ed classroom, so in a general ed setting. So we want to ensure that when they're in a general ed setting, they have those supports in place, as well as the general ed teacher who now really has to do a lot of differentiation. So the collaboration classroom is where the teachers collaborate together to provide the support they need for all the students in the class.
Okay, thank you.
Mr. Cruz?
Dr. Park, I appreciate what you said about the teachers working hard, the parents working hard, and the administration working hard. Because if you review, you have, oh no, what happened here? Hold on. I was looking at the SBAC for, it just refreshed. And you got a lot of greens and you got a lot of yellows. So it's very successful what we're moving towards. And I just want to say, Luke Hackney, you brought something interesting, the word embrace, and you hinted what the plan is. We're putting a lot in identifying the essential standards and providing a clear focus, helping our students to continue to improve on our test scores. And that is where you're aiming towards, is finding those essential standards for all the students. And our scores are higher than the state and the county, because we are successful, and we should be very proud because we're very diverse. So it is amazing, because we're all in a walk of life of different education, prior experiences. So the direction we're moving, you keep it up, because the teachers are doing all that they can, and they're successful, and the parents. So what we're doing is successful, so keep it up.
Thank you.
And I have a comment. I'd like to thank all of our teachers and staffs. You have given so much work, and our children had responded. Whenever I mention Chino Valley Unified, people say, "Oh, those are good schools in your school district you have." And those are things that I often hear. And also, when you see the newspaper ads for builders, they said Chino Valley School District, and then homes would sell. And that's the achievement. However, especially facing Christmas time, I had shared this with Mr. Schaefer also. We have to always be mindful of those students who are homeless, over 1,000 students, and what's their future is like. Is there anything that we could help little more every single day, so that they could achieve something and make their life something that could be a surprise for them. Often these kids do not deserve that type of environment, but it just happens. So always be mindful of those population who's suffering. And also on top of the list, we have excellent students, top-tier students. However, there are also top schools, not in the region, but also in Orange County. For example, Troy, Mr. Schaefer went to Troy High School. But Troy Tech, yeah. So they're often here to recruit our top of the crop. So always be mindful that we need to compete with them and secure our students here. So thank you so much for your excellent work. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay. Next, we're now at election of officers for 2019. Board Bylaw 9100 states the board will identify a president, vice president, and clerk from each members on a rotating basis, and identify the superintendent as secretary to the board. In accordance to the Board Bylaw 9100, may I have a motion for James Na as president, Irene Hernandez Blair as vice president, Andrew Cruz as clerk, and identify the superintendent as the secretary to the board. Do I have a motion?
So moved.
Second.
Moved by Ms. Blair, seconded by Mr. Cruz. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Passes 5-0. Congratulations to our new officers and board members. We will now continue with nomination or volunteers for the committees. And at this time, I'd like to ask, especially newly elected board members, be active and see if you could find times to participate in many committees as possible. Pat, will you please read the first committee opening?
Election of Board Liaison, City of Chino.
Meets on the first and third Tuesday of the month at 7 p.m. Are there any volunteers?
I'd like to volunteer.
Okay, Ms. Gani. Anyone else? Hearing no further volunteers, these are declared closed. Mrs. Gani is selected as board liaison to the City of Chino. Thank you.
Election of Board Liaison, City of Chino Hills.
Meets on the second and fourth Tuesday of the month at 7 p.m. Are there any volunteers for nominations?
Oh, I'll volunteer.
Thank you, Ms. Blair.
I'm moving to Chino Hills, so,
Oh, great.
yeah.
Okay, awesome. Okay, Ms. Blair is selected as a board liaison to the City of Chino Hills.
Election of Board Liaison, City of Ontario.
Meets on the first and third Tuesday of the month at 6:30 p.m. Are there any volunteers?
Yes.
Mr. Cruz is selected as a board liaison to the board liaison City of Ontario.
Election of Board Liaison, Chino Valley Independent Fire District.
Meets on the second Wednesday of the month at 6 p.m.
I'd like to volunteer.
Okay, Ms. Ghani is selected as board liaison to the Chino Valley Independent Fire District.
Election of Representative, County Committee on School District Organization.
Meets once annually, normally in October, as the official voting representative. Any volunteers?
I volunteer.
Okay, Mrs. Blair is selected as a representative to the County Committee on School District Organization.
Election of Representatives, Chino Hills Parks and Recreation Commission.
Meets on the third Wednesday of the month at 7 p.m. Mrs. Blair?
No, I was volunteering.
Oh, okay.
I was volunteering Mr. Schaefer.
You could take them all.
Pushing this way.
Okay. Mr. Schaefer is selected as a board liaison to the Chino Hills Parks and Recreation.
Election of 2 representatives, joint meeting with the City of Chino.
Are there any volunteers for
Yes.
nominations? Okay, Mr. Cruz,
Yes, I'll
And-
volunteer as well.
Ms. Ghani are selected as a representative to the joint meeting with City of Chino.
Election of 2 representatives, joint meeting with the City of Chino Hills.
Are there any volunteers?
I'll volunteer.
Okay, Mrs. Blair.
Yes.
And Mr. Cruz are, okay.
Election,
Are selected as a representative to the joint meetings with City of Chino Hills.
election of representative, Chamber of the Chino Valley.
I'd like to volunteer.
Okay, it's on the third Wednesday of the month at 7:30 a.m.
Jump the gun.
And Ms. Gagne,
Jump the gun there.
good, you heard what I said, so good thing. Selected as a representative to the Chamber of Chino Valley.
Election of representative and alternate, Baldy View Regional Occupational Program Commission for a term to expire in December 2019.
Yeah, meets on the second Wednesday of the month, 6 p.m. And I'd like to volunteer Mr. Schaefer, and then I'll have you the alternate. Because you were lacking. So, okay. So, Mr. Yeah, you and mine.
No, I'm
Okay, okay, Ms. Scher as the representative, and James Na be the alternate to the Baldy View Regional Occupation Program Commission for a term of December 2019. Thank you, board members, for representing the district. Now, at this time, we'll take a brief recess across the hallway to celebrate Mrs. Ghani and Mr. Schaefer joining our school board. Thank you.
I want to begin welcoming you to the school board. Champ raised, I shouldn't say raised, but contributed over $600 worth of gift cards to the Hope Center for this holiday season. So I want to thank everyone who contributed to the Hope Center. Also congratulate Isabel Brenes on her new appointment as Director of Human Resource, and Karen Miner as Principal of Cal Aero. We are still continuing with our applications for AXA Administrator of the Year. Those are due in January. And then just would like to wish everyone a happy holiday, winter break, and acknowledge all the hard work that not only the administrators have been doing, but our whole CVUSD employees, CSEA, ACT. We work very hard and diligently to continue to work hard at providing a safe, rigorous learning environment for our students in our community here. Someone mentioned earlier, I said I would be short, but with that continuous work and effort that we are putting into our students and in our community, a lot of times we acknowledge that it's a hard job, but we are continuously embracing it. And I want to remind our staff that although oftentimes you might feel as if you're not really getting the job done, because we're not stagnant. And oftentimes it takes us to be broken a little to recognize what our purpose is. And so when you're not feeling very motivated and when you think you're not feeling appreciated, know that you are. And if you need a reminder, you think of a glow stick. You know, children play with glow sticks and not really realizing its full purpose. They're very content with playing with the stick, but it has to be broken to show its glow. So continue to work hard, and on behalf of Champ, we wish you a happy holiday. Thank you.
Thank you. Brenda Walker, ACT. No comments. Denny Hernandez. No comment. Okay, thank you. Then we move on. We're now at community liaisons. Art Bennett, Chino Hills City Council.
Well, good evening, Dr. Enfield, President Na, and congratulations to Christina on your election, and Joe. I know that you'll be good additions to this board and that you will serve it well. So, the City of Chino Hills has also had its reorganization in the last couple of meetings. Cynthia Moran is now serving as mayor, and I am vice mayor of the City of Chino Hills. So, we're looking forward to a wonderful next 12 months. It's going to be exciting. We just would like to thank the school district for everything that's going on. Positive things are going on. You continue to do what you do. I caution the residents of Chino Hills this time of the year that our kids are going to be out of school very shortly, and that they are not going to be looking out. They've got visions of sugar plums in their head, and they are clearly not going to be looking for traffic. So I caution everybody to drive safely around, especially around schools and in the neighborhoods, because the kids, we want to let them have a fun Christmas. So we have one special event that's coming up on Friday the 21st, the famous Chino Hills Boat Parade. And for anybody that says Chino Hills doesn't have water, how can they have a boat parade? It is a annual event. It will be along Peyton Drive. We will close Peyton. It will start in the area of Eucalyptus and Peyton, come down north on Peyton in front of Ayala High School, well, in front of the Mormon Church, Ayala, and St. Paul, turn on Boys Republic Drive. It's usually about 60 or 65 boats being towed on trailers, well lit up, with people walking along, handing out candies for the kids and trying to get everybody in a festive mood. So be sure to show up that time. And for all my Christian brothers and sisters, I want to wish them a Merry Christmas. For everyone else, I would like to wish you a Happy Holidays, Happy Kwanzaa, a belated Happy Hanukkah. The main thing is, God bless each and every one of us. We live in a blessed country. Regardless of the problems we've got going on, we are still head and shoulders above any place else on earth to live. And we want to thank God for those blessings. And also, at this time of the year, we mentioned earlier about the fact that there's 1,000 kids that are homeless in our school district. Remember the Hope Committee, helping our people every day. We have resource centers here in the district. Be sure to try and volunteer there. And of course, we've got several food banks and that are including the Chino house, which I think is having an open house coming up pretty soon. Get involved, give something back during this time of the year. Those of us that live with an abundance, it's our duty and our privilege to be able to give back to those that are a little bit less fortunate. So God bless you all. Merry Christmas and a very Happy New Year. And it's my pleasure to continue to serve on the Measure G committee. You guys they're doing great things. I cannot say enough about what's going on. And remember, $55 million, this first $208 million is going to school safety and security. So our parents out there should know that this school board's main focus is making sure that our kids are safe. So again, God bless.
Thank you. Mike Krieger, Fireboard, he had to leave early, but he's sending us greetings, Christmas greetings. And he wanted to thank our staff members who have joined with Fire District and make child smile. Many kids were really blessed with many toys. So thank you. That's what he said. Next. We're at comments from audience on items not on the agenda. Pat, are there any speakers?
One request to speak.
Speakers will have called in the order request was received. Please listen for your name and be prepared to approach the podium. Any comments on agenda items will be accepted during consideration of that item. Once the board has commenced deliberations of an issue, speaker cards will not be accepted. The board is very interested in your comments, but please bear in mind that board typically does not respond to comments during this time. It is reserved for public comments. Individual members may respond during board comments at the end. Mr. Cruz, will you please explain the light?
Speaker, you have 3 minutes to make your comments. Begin when you see the green light. Yellow light indicates you have 30 seconds to which to complete the comment. Red light means stop. If you need to adjust your microphone, so do it. Audience members, please refrain from making comments while speakers are at the podium. Thank you.
Please remember that in accordance with Board Bylaw 9323 bylaws of the board meeting conduct, limit remarks to 3 minutes total for all remarks. The board would like to remind you that Board Policy 1312.1 contains the procedure for anyone who wishes to file a complaint against a district employee. Please follow that procedure. The first speaker is Peter Atwood.
Well, good evening. Apparently I'm the last as well. Couple things. First off, I wanted to speak as usual concerning special education. The LCAP report was useful. There was some folks in the red, and those folks were kids with disabilities. The reason is really quite simple. The special ed department here, with the full support of the superintendent, as far as I know, is determined to keep SPED kids from getting what they need. And we'll fight them, and we'll litigate against them in order to keep them from getting what is perfectly obvious that they need. And so that's why, for example, I'm going over with one of my clients to see an attorney tomorrow, and we're going to have to file something on that. And in this case, they know perfectly well the kid has auditory and visual processing problems, know exactly what needs to be done about it, absolutely refuse to, would rather give the kid counseling instead to try to manage the torment that the kid is suffering on account of these things. This is typical. Unfortunately, it couldn't send it to the new members, but as soon as I get your emails, I will. We came to an agreement after much struggle over a couple of independent evaluations. Absurd that they got an attorney involved in everything, but we did. And so now that we got the agreement, which I was careful to keep them from being able to sabotage the agreement, now the SELPA, probably with the cooperation of your special ed director, is trying to sabotage the agreement. You know the details because, I sent it to you. This is not the way you get the kids out of the red. It wouldn't be a bad, as I said 11 years ago when I first started talking to you folks, don't lie to me, don't cheat me, don't hurt my kid. If you apply those 11 words, you'll make me happy, and you'll also get the SPED kids out of the red. So far, the board, the superintendent, and the special ed department in this district have not seen fit to apply those 11 words, which will work if they're applied. Now, in relation to that, you have a sign-in system by Raptor Technologies whose purpose is to gather people's data, and the contract, which I extracted after several weeks with a public records request, provides that Raptor can gobble up our personal information and do with it absolutely anything that they want without restriction. There is restriction on what district employees can do in paragraph 3, pointedly not what Raptor can do, and they're supposed to be confidential except as provided by the agreement. Next paragraph, paragraph 4 says Raptor can do absolutely anything they want with the data. So once they get the data, they do anything they want. That's an unreasonable search and seizure for you guys to collect information and give it to a company in Texas to do whatever they want. A couple of you took an oath to defend the Constitution. That includes the Fourth Amendment.
Thank you. We are now at changes and deletions. Pat, are there any changes?
The following changes and deletions are on the agenda. Human Resources, item 2E1, 3E1, certificated classified personnel items, page 78. Under change of assignment, delete the name Zane Pimentel. Facilities, Planning, and Operations, item 3D8, bid 181910F, Cattle, Lytle, and Oak Ridge Elementary Schools, alteration project, page 66, is yellow sheeted.
We're now at the action item. Please announce them.
Item 2A1, 2019-2020 Board Meeting Calendar.
Recommend the Board of Education approve the 2019-2020 Board Meeting Calendar. Are there any speakers?
No speakers.
No speakers. May I have a motion?
So moved.
Second.
Moved by Mrs. Blair, seconded by Mr. Cruz. Any comments, discussions? Seeing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Passes 5-0.
Item 2A2, nominations for CSBA Delegate Assembly.
Recommend the Board of Education nominate up to 8 candidates to the California School Boards Association for a term beginning April 1st, 2019 through March 31st, 2021. Are there any speakers?
No speakers.
No speakers. May I have a motion?
So moved.
It's been moved by Mrs. Blair and seconded by Mr. Schaefer. Any comments? Seeing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
Who are they
Passes
nominating?
5-0.
Who are they nominating?
There was a nomination. There's 8 people on there, and you can nominate the 8, but you need to have contacted them and made sure that you got their approval.
Well, but aren't they running? Isn't that what the newsletter said?
There's a vacancy, there's up to 8 candidates, so not only can you nominate those are the ones whose terms have expired, but you can nominate anyone else that is a member of the California School Boards Association in our region.
But they were the only ones
All 8.
who requested, who are,
Their terms are up, that's it.
So,
yeah, I thought they had submitted their,
Uh-huh.
I thought those were the nominees.
no, and so if you're going to nominate someone, you need to make sure that you have their approval. If not, you can not nominate anybody, and then there would be nobody to move forward.
Well, then
Yeah, then we should.
then I guess we should all
rescind.
abstain
Yeah,
because we
rescind,
didn't
yeah.
receive any names for nomination.
They're part of the CSBA, so it's assumed that you know the people that are eligible, like, say, for example, if you wanted to be part of the nominations.
Right, but I would
then-
have to have submitted my name.
Yes.
Yes, so Mr. Knott could submit your name, and then you would do your biographical sketch and the nomination form, and your name would go into the pool for the election.
Right, but then doesn't that come to us?
Yes, at a different meeting.
Okay, I thought the
Yeah.
8 that we had were those that had submitted their
No,
nominations,
those are the
so.
ones whose terms are expired.
Okay, well then I
So we'll
don't
rescind
have
all the-
anything to vote.
Withdraw.
Yeah, we would withdraw. Do we need just consensus? Or we're voting
You're-
again?
You're withdrawing the complete vote and.
Yes, we're,
rescinding. Okay.
The whole
yeah.
motion.
Do we need a motion to
To
withdraw?
Yes.
Do I have a
To
motion
rescind.
to withdraw?
Yes.
Most definitely.
Second.
Yeah, okay, Ms. Blair, second. Okay, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Okay. Item 2B1, 2018-2019, first interim financial report.
Yes, Mr.
President, I'd like to ask Mrs. Chen if she could give the board a little bit of an update on this, considering that we have 2 new board members tonight.
Certainly, Dr. Enfield. So following the approval of the annual budget, the superintendent is required to submit 2 interim reports to the governing board for approval. So this is the first of the 2 interim reports, and this is called the first interim financial report, which essentially covers the actual financial activities commencing from July 1st through October 31st. It's being brought to you for approval today with a positive certification, which means the district, based on current information, is able to meet its financial obligations for this current fiscal year as well as 2 subsequent years. The second report will be brought to you in March, which will cover actual financial activities from July 1st through the end of January.
Recommend the Board of Education approve the 2018-2019 first interim financial report and authorize the President of the Board of Education and the Superintendent to sign the positive certification of financial condition for the current and 2 subsequent fiscal years. Are there any speakers?
There are no speakers.
May I have a motion?
So moved.
Moved by Mrs. Blair,
Second.
seconded by Mr. Cruz. Any questions or comments?
Go ahead, Mr. Cruz.
first.
You know,
and Mrs.
I have to commend to Dr. Enfield and to Chen that we've always been consistent with these positive certifications. And we know that there's districts out there that are not getting those. So thanks, Dr. Enfield and Ms. Chen.
Okay, Mrs. Blair?
I just have one question. It's not related specifically to the budget. Regarding the child nutrition program, are all of our schools now offering breakfast, or are we still missing a couple?
All but 4 schools.
And those 4 schools don't qualify?
The program is offered based on the number of students who actually participate in the program, and the 4 schools, currently we have not rolled out the breakfast program because of the low number of students who actually participate in the lunch program. So annually, we continue to assess the clientele and the interest in having a breakfast program. We haven't given up yet. It just has not been a financially prudent program to roll out right now.
I get it. And 4 schools is
They're all in Chino Hills.
wonderful where we started from. So
Correct.
I commend you for staying and being patient with me as I advocated for breakfast at every school. So 4 schools I don't have a problem with. I want to thank you for continuing to monitor that, because that was something that was extremely important, especially for the communities that we serve. So I thank you. 4 schools, I can handle that. Thank you.
Okay, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Passes 5-0.
Item 2C1, public notice and hearing regarding the district's initial bargaining proposal to the Associated Chino Teachers for a successor collective bargaining agreement effective July 1, 2019.
Recommend the Board of Education give public notice and conduct a public hearing regarding the district's initial bargaining proposal to the ACT for a successor collective bargaining agreement effective July 1st, 2019. I now open the public meeting at 8:43 p.m. Do we have any speakers?
No,
Yes. Sure.
All right, well, of course, I haven't seen the proposal. But I do want to say in general terms that I think it's important not to play the teachers too close. Because after all, you can squeeze them a little tighter, but then if you make them mad and discouraged, they're not going to work anywhere near as effectively. So probably it's a good thing to figure what can we do to actually make the teachers content without actually busting the budget. But it is important not to be too aggressive with them, and I hope you keep that in mind.
Thank you. I now close the public hearing at 8:44 p.m. There are no further action items. We're now at consent items. Pat, are there any speakers?
No speakers.
No speakers. Board members, do you have any polls? Mr. Schaefer?
Yeah, A3.
Eight,
Or, I'm sorry, 3A1.
381 and Page?
What page?
17.
Page 17, okay. And Mr. Cruz?
No polls.
No polls. Ms. Gani?
No polls.
No polls. Mrs. Blair?
No pools.
And I have no polls. For the remainder of consent items, may I have a motion?
So moved.
Moved by Mrs. Blair,
Second.
seconded by Ms. Gani. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Motion passes 5-0. Now, for 381, page 17, do I have a motion?
So moved.
So moved by Ms. Blair,
Second.
seconded by Mr. Schaefer. Okay, Ms. Blair.
Oh, it's not my item, it's Mr.
Actually-
Schaefer.
Oh, I mean, Mr. Schaefer.
Thank you. It's actually just procedural. Since those are the minutes from the last board meeting, I was not a party to that meeting. I'd just like to abstain, so you can pull that out.
You just want abstention? That's
Yeah,
okay.
abstain from voting on it.
Okay, sure. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Oppose? Abstention?
Aye.
Yes. Okay, it passes 4-1 with one abstention. We are now at board members and superintendent communications. Mr. Schaefer.
Are you not going to ask for
Information
information items? So I could push my button?
What page?
Uh,
Oh, okay, got it.
14.
14. Okay, information, Mrs. Blair.
I'm just extremely excited about the fact that we are going to be incorporating personal finance to our students so they learn how to balance a checkbook and all of that fun stuff. I think that was missing at our high schools, and so I'm thrilled that that is coming back. I remember having that course, and it was exciting then when you go to the bank to open your first account and you actually know what they're talking about. So thank you to whoever brought that to the district. I really appreciate it. So just wanted to say that.
Thank you. Now, with comments, Mr. Schaefer.
Thank you. First, I'd like to start off by thanking everyone for being here tonight. And we went to Lytle Elementary last night for their night of giving, and they had some recitals. And it was a great experience to see these kids getting up on the little stages and singing and then running off and just having a great time. And it really brings home what this is all about. It's the community of schools and a family atmosphere at these events, and it was great to see. Also, I want to thank Mr. Enfield, or Dr. Enfield, I'm sorry, for taking us up to the CSBA conference in San Francisco. It was a great experience. I learned quite a bit and had a great time. And with that, I would just wish everyone a Merry Christmas and hope everyone has a wonderful holiday season.
Thank you. Mrs. Gagne.
Good evening. I'd like to thank everybody for being here this evening. I'm humbled to be serving this community as part of the school board. I was born and raised here, played some Chino rec basketball, so really excited to actually be serving the community. I want to commit to making sure that in every decision I make that I'm putting our students first. I think we live in a wonderful area with a lot of opportunity, but I want to make sure that all students have access to that opportunity. And in that vein, I just want everyone to know that I'm committed to being accessible, whether it's my phone being on, my inbox being checked, meeting in person. I want to hear the concerns of everybody who's a part of the student community. Because for me, education is very important, and a very wise person, my mother, she's watching right now, so once told me that one thing no one can take away from you is your education. I want to make sure every student in this district is receiving a high quality education so they can be successful while in our district and when they graduate. So thank you so much for being here this evening, and I look forward to serving each and every one of you. And happy holidays.
Thank you. Excellent comment. Okay, next, Mr. Cruz.
Yeah, I attended some events that brought the community, everybody together. Mr. Nall, Mr. Schaefer, I came a little bit later, but we all attended the Lido of the Night of Giving, and that's been going on for 5 years, and it's a wonderful experience in making things for senior citizens as well as for people at the hospital too. So they were doing a number of things over there. I also attended the Make a Child Smile. I was a bus captain the very first time. Actually, Ms. Chen mentioned that last year. It caught my curiosity, so I became a bus captain for Butterfield.
Yeah.
And I also escorted a boy and with the fireman, and the fireman and I, we bought him a bike, and this was a real cute boy, and he deserved it. He deserved it. And then the Christmas parade. Wonderful. I enjoy doing that. A lot of great people. You see them everywhere. We saw you.
Yes.
And your husband.
And a husband.
Missed the carriage.
Yes. Well, believe it or not, we came so close to stopping the carriage, and then he stopped. We came so close.
Yes.
But that was it. And then I did the reindeer romp, 5K run, and first place was. Actually, what's so amazing about the 5K run, because I've been doing them from time to time, is that the second, third, and fourth were people that were under 16. And I tell you, it's amazing to see how fast they run. I mean, they just running with their little feet going like this. And for me, I took first in my division. But let me tell you, these kids are fast. And what's wonderful is that in February 2nd, you got Run for Us, and March 2nd, you got Dairy, yeah, so that's cool. That's cool. And then Vex Robotics has a tournament at Ayala Saturday, and the Chino Neighborhood House has a great event. They provide free bicycles and presents for everybody and meals on December 21st at 9 a.m. Great, especially go to the robotics, because that's the future. It's the future of humanity integrated with technology, so it's wonderful. Merry Christmas. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Cruz. Mrs. Blair.
Look, I was still typing, so let me stop. Right, it's enough, Joe. Oh, Mr. Schaefer said it's enough already. I want to congratulate Mr. Schaefer and Ms. Gagne. I'm going to have to, I was an English language learner, so sometimes it comes out and it's coming out in attempting to pronunciate your name. So I need to work on that. But congratulations to the two of you. Tonight during the LCAP presentation, it was stated that we are working to ensure that we're getting every student what they need. It was also stated that we are here to provide services to every student. I wholeheartedly agree with this, but we cannot enter another year without recognizing the need for mental health support services with courses such as peer counseling. I have advocated for peer counseling for almost 2 years now. Our students' health and wellness must become a priority. Bullying, anxiety, and depression are a reality on almost every campus in our district. And it is time that we do more. I do believe that the forums that have taken place have been a great start, but that's not where it should end. Several years ago, David Speak, a political science professor at Cal Poly Pomona, stated regarding Chino Valley Unified, in a school district, schools are supposed to be a supportive environment. Schools are supposed to provide all kids a nurturing environment. The action taken by this board is disappointing. He said this in relation to the passing of a resolution that went against everything that we are supposed to represent as a Board of Education. I ask the board to begin the change necessary to truly represent all students and become truly focused on our purpose here, quality education for every student. I therefore request of Superintendent Enfield and Board President Na that we have a discussion to end pursuing the prayer lawsuit. I also ask that we put on the agenda action items to rescind the resolution which supported Proposition 8 many years ago. Because we have students who are part of loving same-sex households, and they deserve our representation. I want to rescind the resolution which opposed AB 1266, because our transgender students also deserve our representation. And with that, I will say happy holidays, Merry Christmas, Feliz Navidad.
Superintendent Enfield.
Mrs. Gagne? There we go. Mrs. Gagne and Mr. Schaefer, I want to congratulate both of you on your election to the Chino Valley Unified School District Board of Education. I look forward to serving and working with both of you, and I know under your leadership, this district will continue to do great things, and you will continue to support our students, our parents, our staff, and our community. And again, congratulations to both of you.
Thank you.
And with that, I'd like to wish everybody a happy holiday. Thank you.
Recently, I have received a message from recent graduate from Alaska. I mean, we're suffering this cold weather. Can you imagine Alaska? So I told the student, just be warm and be healthy. But it's such a great thing to have a student who would still remember our teachers and our district personnel and even the school board member. It's amazing what can kids bring a joy in this season. Yes, Merry Christmas to everyone. It's time to thank what we have that are really precious, not necessarily man-made, but what is even given to us that maybe we don't deserve. It's time to share love and compassion. And as we have seen our newly elected members and family members coming to support, that's a great thing. Family, bring families together and appreciate success of their children. We're already grown, but for parents, we're still kids. Same thing. And education starts at home by talking to them. You can see that they were raised right. We were raised right. Why? Because the parents cared. That's what we need to do with many of our kids who might not have that environment. And most of the times, it's not their fault. These are from adults. It's our fault. So let's be compassionate and help one at a time. Thank you so much. I adjourn the meeting at 8:57. Merry Christmas.
Make sure we stay. We have 2 more meetings.
We've got 2 more
Yes.
meetings. Yeah.
Your chair.
I call to order for the organizational meeting of the Board of Directors of the Chino Unified School District Land Acquisition Corporation, Thursday, December 13, 2018, at 8:58 with Blair, Ganya, Na, Schaefer, and Cruz present. Pat, are there any requests to speak? We are now at the action item. Pat, will you introduce the item?
Item 2A, appointment of chairperson and treasurer to serve on the Board of Directors of the Land Acquisition Corporation.
May I have a nomination or volunteer to serve as a chairperson?
I'd like to nominate Mr. Cruz as a chairperson. Is that possible?
Are there any?
That's
Could.
No, I can't do that.
You can't do
No,
it?
he's the current, he could.
Yeah.
But it's going to expire 2021.
Okay.
He could.
Yeah.
He just can't serve as secretary and treasurer.
Okay. Are there any further nominations for chairperson? Hearing none, nominations are closed. May I have a nomination or volunteer to serve as a treasurer? I nominate Joe Schaefer.
Okay.
Are there any further nomination for treasurer? Closed. That concludes the action item. We're now at consent item. Pat, introduce the first item.
Item 3A1, minutes of the December 14, 2017 Land Acquisition Corporation organizational meeting.
Recommend the Board of Education approve the minutes of December 14, 2017 Land Acquisition Corporation organizational meeting. Motion?
So moved.
Second?
Second. Na, Blair. Comments, questions, discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? 5-0. Motion passes. The business of the Land Acquisition Corporation is now concluded. I now adjourn the meeting at 10 o'clock. Good night.
9 o'clock.
Capital Facilities.
I call to order the organizational meeting of the Board of Trustees of the Chino Unified School District Capital Facility Corporation, Thursday, December 13, 2018. Blair, Ganya, Na, Schaefer, Cruz present. 9 o'clock. Are there any requests to speak?
No requests.
Pat, introduce the action item.
Item 2A1, appointment of secretary and treasurer to serve on the Board of Trustees of the Capital Facilities Corporation.
Recommend the Board of Directors appoint a trustee to serve as secretary for an unexpired term through 2020 and a trustee to serve as treasurer for an unexpired term 2019 through 2019 on the Board of Trustees of the Capital Facility Corporation.
I nominate Ms. Gagne.
Great.
Great. Are there any further nominations for secretary? Closed. May I have a nomination volunteer for treasurer?
Who's the treasurer right now?
Well, it's expired.
Oh,
And Sylvia Roscoe.
Oh,
That's why it became vacant.
I nominate Blair.
Okay, I second that.
For asking a
Okay.
question?
Yeah, that's what you get. That's what you get.
Wait a minute.
Yeah,
Right.
yeah.
I'm
Yeah,
okay.
she wanted it.
Here, nominations are closed. That concludes the action item, action calendar. We're now consent items. Pat? Any speakers?
Minutes of the, no speakers. Minutes of the December 14, 2017 Capital Facilities Corporation organizational meeting.
Recommend the Board of Education approve the minutes of the December 14, 2017 Capital Facility Corporation organizational meeting. May I have a motion?
So moved.
Second?
Right here, nah. Comments? All all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Oppose? The motion passes 5-0. That concludes the business of Capital Corporation. Now adjourn the meeting at 9:02. Please stay in your seat. Oh, we're done.
It's a tough one.
Gagne, okay. All right.